Oh, if it was Power here, the review, the Power Rangers Dino Fury Morpher. So yeah, if you didn't know, the Power Rangers series that was adapted after Beast Morphers was in fact, the Sentai series that was adapted after Go Busters was in fact Ryusoulger, because apparently none of the other ones sold. So yeah, this was actually the first thing released within the Dino Fury line, which obviously this is our or Hasbro's interpretation of the Russo Changer. And as you can see with the box here, it's still in the open packaging that was carried over from Beast Morphers, except it's actually like in an interesting packaging. Here we have the Red Ranger. It's the same illustrations that we have gotten in Beast Morphers, which I like that consistency. Obviously we have the Dino Fury Morph there, and we got a key. What day is it? It's February 23rd as a recording. I know the first episode aired, but I'm still on Super Ninja Steel. So, just saying it has sounds. You can press that button. It does the try me stuff, which I'll show later. Yeah, I guess what I was trying to say is that they haven't stated what these are called specifically. We were first told they were called Power Keys, but then we were told they were called the Dino Fury Keys. They're keys again. So here we have the Red Ranger again. This is the same illustration that's going to show up on his individual figure. We got a smug kid with the Dino Fury Morpher. Here we have the Dino Fury logo, which I think is neat. I don't think it's as cool as the Beast Morphers one, but and there, smug kid again. Spin it, sounds, motion activated. No voice activated stuff this time. So just let me open it, and yeah. So here we have the Dino Fury Morpher out of its box. We will take a look at this later as it falls, because for some reason it actually doesn't, like, on certain like surfaces, it actually doesn't stand up well. Okay, let's take a look at the gimmicks for this year. The Dino Fury keys, and honestly, you're gonna be like, well, you're only showing us the back. Why the heck are you not showing us the front? It's a flat piece of plastic. So Hasbro cheapened out on the Rusouls. And now the front designs, which would be the most appealing thing, they're just hollow foil stickers. And if I have to admit, they're pretty. Like, they're pretty neat. And as we can see from this Dino Fury key, this is obviously heavily based off of Max Russo Red, where he's holding the Chroma Fury Saber, which the toy is still not yet announced. And there's a keyhole, so you can hang it off somewhere. And then here we have the Dino Fury team logo. They added wings to the side of his head for some reason. But other than that, it's pretty decent. And the hollow foil was actually pretty cool. The back, it's just simple gray plastic. Here we have the, smudged head of the Chroma Fury Saber dinosaur. I was going to say dragon. And obviously here we have the blade of the Chroma Fury Saber, which I do really appreciate. I actually do like the gold paint they added to the side of here, and the red paint. I'm personally not really big on that they made him hold the sword this way, because it's inconsistent with the other ones. And this is our pin system for the year, so this one's pushes the first track and such. But yeah, it's very thin. Here is the Morphex Key, or the triple Morphex Key from last year. Technically, this is not a fair comparison, because it should technically only go from like here, technically. But yeah, obviously people are heavily upset at these. However, like, obviously just because comparing these, like, this just looks a lot nicer than this. But obviously, I'll explain more of that within the next review. So that's really it for the Dino Fury Key. Now, here we have the Dino Fury Morpher itself. And this thing, on the other hand, is actually pretty neat. Like, they just upscaled it, and it's like missing paint, like on here. But other than that, they got it down. It from far away, well, obviously from like far away view, like that you can't even like see it. You're gonna be like, oh, that's the Russo changer. But then like obviously you have to look at it closely because you're like, wait, why is the button translucent? And such. And obviously there's the battery compartment. This is where the two AAA batteries are. Obviously the strap is Velcro once again. These are the power switch. Here's the visor, and then the dinosaur. And I think the dinosaur, like obviously the gray or the silver here, it's, you know, the silver paint is good. I think the Russo changer is a lot more shinier, and obviously there would be a translucent screen here, but that's not present here. And obviously the big, or before I get to that, the red here is a bit more darker than the Russo changer. But the biggest change obviously is the fluency of the visor flip, because obviously with the Russo changer it was very fluent. This one, on the other hand, is like ratchety, as typical with Hasbro stuff. This is very similar to the Model Zero from Yokai Watch, where the original Japanese one, when you twist the gold rim of the model, or the Type Zero, it was very fluent and such, while the Hasbro one is like very ratchety. That's the same deal with this. However, obviously, as you can tell, if you watch my opening on this, it was a lot more like rougher to like spin it, but now like after playing with it for some time, it's actually very like fluent. Typically this would be something I'd be complaining about, but for the sake of how the toy works, it's actually kind of appreciative that it's now actually deciding to, you know, cooperate, because you kind of need this to be smooth, because that's the entire point. You don't want to struggle swinging that and such. Here's the full dinosaur and all these details. This is the speaker, and this is where you're going to insert the Dino Fury keys within that small tiny slot. This space is for the head, and this is for the arm. Here's the visor. This gold paint again is pretty neat, and again it's just hollow from back there. Last but not least, I'm taking this. They actually have a design under here, which is I think very similar to the Japanese one. And I was wrong initially with what I said with the Beast X Morpher in my opening, because I thought like the way I was perceiving it is that there was still like some like of the strap underneath here, but I guess like that's not the case. But because I heard cases of people saying that this wasn't actually a comfortable fit, but I think because for me, my wrists are pretty small, it actually fits all right. Like, it's a fine fit and such. Yeah. Obviously it will get to you, because this one, as I compared with the Beast X Morpher, it's actually it's slightly smaller than the Beast X Morpher. And speaking of that, even though there's no point into doing so, just brought that out for comparisons. Obviously the biggest difference is just the length, obviously, because the Beast X Morpher you wore like this one you obviously wearing it differently. There's not really, you can't really compare these two, but I think the only thing you can really compare is width, and yeah, they're both the same width for sure. Again, Hasbro just likes beefing their toys up a lot, so not necessarily a complaint, but it's just obvious. But yeah, that's essentially it. Functionality, the second mode, or the first on mode that you get to is the Try Me mode, which I'm actually going to skip over. If you want to see that, watch the demo, which most likely will be tomorrow. The second one, or the one on the top, is the mode you want to be on, because that's going to be the main functionality for this stuff. So to activate it, just simply press the button here. And one thing they actually decided to add is a red LED here, which is, I guess, appreciated. So obviously, just like the Beast X King Morpher, we have motion activated sounds. So there's like different degrees of it. There's like there's essentially light and heavy attacks. So if we do some light motion attacks, we get some punches. Now we have some sword slashing. That's the closest thing we're going to have with the Chroma Fury Saber as of now. And then for the heavy, we get some like ground punches. And that's essentially it for the basic motion sounds, because I forgot to cover this first. You get 3 sounds, or do that. So it turned off for me, so I guess I don't have to do that later, but activate it again. So you get 3 sounds. It cycles to 3 sounds when you press this button. It's actually just guitar riffs. They don't really mean anything, but they're neat and such. They don't add anything to the motion sounds, so let's actually get through the sounds when you don't have a key, in which you can actually do that by just simply flipping the visor. So let's do that. So there you get the first jingle, which is like hard rock, something like that. And now if we actually flip it again, there we get the second jingle, which is another rendition of hard rock. However, if we go through those jingles again, you can actually activate more motion sounds. So just flip it like so. So just swing it like so. So to explain the, like, again, it's the same levels of like motion sounds. So it's like you get light and then heavy, but you get like 2 light attacks and then 2 heavy attacks. And those same motion sounds carry over with the second jingle. And that's essentially all you can do with it by itself. But when you enter the Dino Fury key, which you just simply again slot it through here. So press it down, you get that dinosaur growl, and now you get new motion sounds. So again, about 4, too light and too heavy. Maybe 3 if I have to be honest. Like 3 light motion attacks. And then for heavy, it's you get like a chomp. And temperature. Apologize about that. But oh yeah, that's the interesting thing is that I actually do want to point out is that when you actually have a key in and turn it on and press the button, it just does the sound of like inserting this, so that's actually pretty cool. So as you can, so essentially I'm going to assume there's 3 light, motion sounds and then 2 heavy. So then, obviously to morph, just simply swing this. So there, as you can hear, this one is a new jingle, and the jingle is more like, I don't know how you describe it, but it fits a lot more with the dinosaur theme they're going with. And just to go along with how I don't like this key, this is just why, because obviously, like, it just looks so off of having the pointy sides, like, sticking out. It just doesn't make this work. Obviously we can do that again to get the motion sounds. Yeah, it's honestly really difficult trying to get the light ones, just because... I guess we can do it again. It's really hard to get the light ones. Because it wants to do the heavy ones. But yeah, sometimes when you try to flip this down, it'll just trigger it again, which was going to be a main complaint of mine, but then because of the fact my visor started getting looser, I'm not having as much of those issues and such, so that's essentially it for the key. So just pull it out like so, and then you get the ejection sound. But yeah, that's essentially it for the Dino Fury Morpher, because it's just that's not what I was supposed to go with, but it's just like, you know, it's fine. Now it's really thanks to the hollow foil, but I think it's a fine toy overall. It's not as, like, I'll admit, it's not as cool as this thing, but, like, because obviously with this thing, you're able to just do stuff like, you know, you pull out the Morphex Key, you insert it, you activate this, and say stupid stuff like, DJ, put it back on. And so, like, you can talk to this thing. I did not. I'm sorry. It's like, there, it turned off. Like, it's not as, like, I guess, cool as the Beast X Morpher, because the Beast X Morpher had a lot of innovative stuff. But again, like what I said with the Beast X Morpher, I felt like it was literally trying to do way too much. So, the Dino Fury Morpher, I think they definitely did a good job at upping the jingles, as we're going to see later. However, I think the biggest complaint with this toy is just like, I don't think it's a complaint, but it's just like the not the instructions, but it's just like how you play with this thing is so unclear. Because the huge issue, because obviously, like, with just the Russo changer and in the show, because the show literally just is just using the Japanese props, or just the Japanese toy. Obviously, the way that, well, I guess let's go to the keys first. Obviously, they don't flip. I'll get to that in the next review. Um, this thing itself, it's like they're almost there. I'll say they're just missing the mark, because honestly, when you think about it, just pulling this back out, this is the only Morpher out of the 3 Morphers Hasbro has done that actually has a morph sound. Well, obviously for this sake, it's the jingle, but like with the Beastex King Morpher, that thing had a start of a morph, because obviously when you enter the Morphex Key, it would do the jingle of when they're about to morph, but then it just stops there. It doesn't do the entire like morphing sequence, which I really would have liked. This thing, obviously, like, I'm not asking for them to do the same thing like this, because I think the issue was that obviously they had to make this before like getting the actors and such. So it's just like they're just doing like the safe thing of like, okay, we'll just program these sounds and not include voice phrases, so then we don't have to worry about like, what if we don't release these characters, because that's what this thing has to deal with. Excuse me. It's only stuck in my throat. Okay. So I feel like with this thing, it's like they're almost there, but something's missing. It's like honestly, it's just kind of weird how it's done. I understand it's because they want the motion sounds for when you insert the key, but I don't know, make it so when I press the button, I didn't even show this, but like essentially when you press the button with the key in, it still does the same 3 guitar riffs. So I think what they should have done is that when you have the key loaded in, you press the button to initiate the jingle for that key. So then when you flip it, I didn't even, what the heck was that? So then when you like flip the visor, it will complete the morph, and then you can do whatever. Like, I don't care if it's generic, like if it's generic between all of them. Just give it like, there's no morph sound is the thing. you have the setup, and it's like, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to just, are kids supposed to just swing their hands around or their hand around during that? I think that's what they were trying to go for, but it's really weird. But other than that, like, I'm not, I guess, so hard on this thing, because again, like, this thing was like $20. I think this was the same price as the Beastex King Morpher, because I know initially the Beastex Morpher was sewn for $30. I got it for $22, and then I think I did get the Beastex King Morpher full price for $20, or for $19.99. And same with this. But then those 2 Morphers have dropped down to like $15 at best. But it's just like, as I'll get to later, it's just like the faith of this gimmick of lasting is just kind of up in the air. But other than that, like, for a standalone Morpher and for a cheap counterpart, to the Russo changer, I think it's decent for the Dino Fury Morpher itself. This thing, I just want to pick up Russos. Like, initially, I wasn't big on Russos, but this thing made me kind of appreciate them, and I'm just like, yeah, I should probably pick some up. So, yeah. Obviously, Russo changers are pretty cheap to get on Mandarake. They're like 15. It's just that they're very sparse now because Root Soldier was actually pretty popular. So, you know, go get that if you can. And, like, essentially both toys don't really do as much. But it's just like, do you want one that actually is... You want one that actually, like, you actually know how to work and is fluent? Or do you want one that's, like, kind of takes a bunch of work and you just want to imagine stuff? Because obviously with this, you can't go, like, down for your key and then flip, because you can't flip them. You essentially just have to be like this. But anyways, that's it for this review. So this is PowerRider, and I'll leave it, people. Bye.